That's right. So, well, thank you guys for showing up. It's all about that, little by little, new faces sometimes, and that's great. So,
here you go.
you're hearing about them putting their ears on the. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Chris, and thank you for coming to the ChrisTalks. And today we're going to be talking about six-packs and flat tummies. Ironically, I had a couple people suggest that for tonight's talk, and guess who didn't show up? So if you don't know me, I'm an instructor at National Personal Training Institute. I've been teaching for about 5 years there. I have my own training company. This is the Santa Monica version. I also have one up in Dublin. I wrote a book, and that book is called The Vulgar Truth Diet, and you guys are learning more about today. This is going to be kind of a non-traditional abdominal talk. When you think about abs, most people think about just cranking out your abs, doing a bunch of crunches. I like making references to movies. Sorry if this one doesn't click with you, but Something About Mary. You guys seen that before? There's a great scene where he picks up the serial killer, and the guy has a body bag right in front of him. He starts talking about 7-minute abs. But dude, it's the best thing ever. You got to do it. And he starts talking about how he's going to do it, and Ben Stiller was like, what about 6-minute abs? No! No! Why would you ever want to do 6-minute abs? No, you can't do that. Pretty simple scene, but our society, we have an idea of what nice abs may look like, but we don't really know how to get them. And so, if you turn the page, as it says right there, how many types of tissue am I holding up right now? So I'm actually holding up two, but you can't see the one behind me, or at least you shouldn't be able to see. And so, ideally, we're focused on seeing this, but we're not addressing this. Everyone has a six-pack. You do, I got an 8-pack, you got a 6-pack, everyone has it. But how can you see it? And so that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, and how you can be able to see the abs behind the fat. So I picked these two people out because I think that those are some pretty defined abdominals for males and females. Girls, you think those are okay abs for flat? Yes, no, maybe so? Yeah. It's always kind of a hard one because some females like the six-pack look, some girls don't. I don't think, from my experience at least working with females, a lot of them will say that it's not too feminine, they just want the flat stomach.
Yes.
And that's something that's right there. So last week I talked about glutes and how to develop a nice backside. I was curious to see females, if you had a choice, and I was talking to Jason, if you had to choose between having an amazing derriere or a flat stomach, which would you choose?
Flat stomach.
Okay, stomach, butt. What's you, chicas? Everything. I always like when you give someone an option to make their own. What about guys? Would you rather have
guys? Would they like girls?
Yes. What do they like?
Okay, guys, what would you prefer? That's an easy one. Come on, you guys have a flat stomach over a butt. Come on. Yeah. So. But what about guys? 6-pack or arms? Developed arms. Arms.
Six-pack.
Girls, you want the abs? 6-pack. Girls.
Arms. Stomach. Abs.
So you got both, and you got everything. Total
It's
package.
harder to build, I think, the stomach once you
And that's what we're talking about. We're not building, we're seeing it. And so we're going to talk about fat loss. And it begins by fixing your spine. And so I'm not talking about your spine as in your spinal column. I'm talking about an acronym that I designed for my book. And I'm not selling you on my book, but you're more than welcome to go buy it online. It's $10. But I'm going to be talking about addressing these 7 factors is what's going to help you be able to see your abdominal region. So we filled out a little questionnaire earlier. And that's my spine questionnaire. I'm not going to go over all of these, but essentially I worked with, my dad who's a psychologist, I worked with an orthopedic surgeon, I worked with some people on nutrition. And I'm going to have a version 2 coming out, and I'm going to get a sex therapist involved, and it's going to be more complete and a better machine. But I felt that these 30 questions they're designed to determine how out of whack everything is. And if you don't mind me asking, what were some of the scores we got?
24.
24, okay. 21?
24.
24?
20,
21.
13, good.
17.
17, okay.
13.
When I did this on my subjects for my book, the average score was between 7 to 11.
Oh boy.
Very, very, very low.
What's that, Chris?
The average score for the subjects that participated in my study for my book, they were between about 7 to 11. A lot of 13s, a lot of 14s. Essentially what that proved to me is that your spine is out of whack. It's not to make you feel bad, it's a starting point. So we look at the future, it's not to get a 30, it's to be healthier, to get into the 20s, and find the ones that you're weak at and improve those. If you read the 30 questions, the highest score I've come across was a 28. Thank you. And what do you think were the two bugaboos that I had on here?
Sleep.
Definitely
Booze?
sex.
Not sex 3 times a day.
That's
No, 3 times
not
a week.
anymore, but that one for myself, it doesn't count though. With yourself, it counts for me
I know
though.
the other ones. What class is that?
Alcohol, having a hangover. I definitely have a hangover twice a month. But the other one is actually my lower back. So those would be my two bugaboos that I have at the time when I developed this. So we're going to turn the page, and we're going to talk about the first S, which is sex. Everyone's favorite. It's a huge stress reliever. It releases these neurohormones called oxytocin, and also vasopressin. And these are two really important hormones that work with making you feel better. And also, oxytocin is it's a trust hormone, where when you are intimate with someone, you release these together. That's why by yourself one doesn't count, because intimacy is going to release this and you become a little more close to one another. But glutes, TVA, and sex. Those are the three things that, in my opinion, that's always your bugaboo. You go to that and you fix those and you'll always be good. So your glutes, if you want to lose fat, work out your glutes. If you want a bigger chest, work out your glutes. If you want a six-pack, work out your glutes. Your TVA is your abdominals. If you have back pain, work on your abdominals. If you have ankle pain, work on your abdominals. These are our weak points. Sex, when you're stressed out, go have sex. If you're not feeling well, go have sex. You had a bad day, go have sex. You revert to those and you're going to feel a lot better, but it helps with releasing a lot of stress. And then we talked about intimacy, and we're talking about passion and courting and romance. And you know, I'm not a sex therapist, that's why I hired someone to potentially help me out with that aspect of it. But you know, the more passion you have in your relationship, the more courting you do with your partner, that's just going to equal more, let's say, horizontal polka. Uh-oh, you're in trouble over here, look at that. Yeah, she's got to me in the bathroom. You got to listen to the talk. You got to listen to the talk. But
That's funny.
sex really does fix everything. And when you're in an intimate relationship, it's easy to stress out over work, it's easy to stress out over life. But when you have that bond, it's going to help fix the rest of your spine. So if you want on the next page, we have stress. I really like this little image right here with the guy who's working, he's at home, he's working. He's going to go out this weekend, he's working, and when he's sleeping, he's working. And so we're constantly thinking about stress. Not even think about it, we are going through stress. Has anyone ever heard of Jean Clement before? She is the oldest living human being ever. 123 years old. I like to drink when I talk.
Where's she from?
Any guesses? United States.
France.
United States.
Maryland. Wow.
Born here.
From the country?
123 years old. She smoked until she was over 100.
Must be a New Yorker.
Ate all the time. Chocolate cake was her favorite thing.
It's all inside.
Maybe she was having sex 6 times a day. Who knows? But what was her big thing and why she lived so long?
No stress.
No stress.
Why not?
She was rich.
She was rich. She did what I'm trying to do when I moved down to Santa Monica. She married rich. She found a husband when she was 18 who owned all these apartment complexes. Never had to work a day in her life. So you imagine our daily stresses that we have. And she loved the guy, so love is a big thing. I'm a big firm believer in love. But she lived 123 years because she never had to worry about that thing. Look at your own lives. How many times a month or a day or a week where you're worried about, I gotta make rent, I gotta make this, I can't pay this, I want a new shirt, whatever. We're stressing over that. When we stress, we release these hormones that refer to the catecholamines. You have cortisol, you have norepinephrine, and also adrenaline. And what they do is they essentially put us into a state of stress, where back in the old times when we were cavemen, we see a lion, we have two options. We fight it, where we run. The line comes in here, I'm running,